Mississauga, can you remember that day? On the evening of November 10th, 1979, citizens in the young city of Mississauga were unaware that something catastrophic was about to occur. Some refer to it as the Mississauga Miracle. No loss of life and no permanent scarring on the land, the people, or the collective psyche. Freight trains frequently carry hazardous materials through the city of Mississauga. CP train number 54 was carrying 106 rail cars from Sarnia to Toronto on a weekly scheduled run. 38 cars were carrying cargo that the Canadian Transport Commission designated as hazardous materials. At approximately 11:53 p.m., as the train crossed the Burnhamthorpe Road, an axle bearing failed on one of the rail cars and it lost a pair of wheels. The train continued until approximately 11:56 p.m. at the Mavis Road level crossing, where 24 cars derailed. Massive explosions caused by ruptures in butane and propane carrying rail cars were seen more than 100 kilometers away. One explosion hurled a 90-ton tanker car filled with liquid propane more than 675 meters away from the derailment site. The night sky shone orange with the fire, and Mississauga residents could see, hear, and feel the evolving emergency.
When the explosion happened, it woke us all up because the balconies were vibrating, but we had no idea what happened.
There was a glow in the sky, and it was really weird.
We could actually feel it come, through the ground and the banging, and we kind of all looked at each other and said, "What was that?"
We could hear a loud crash and bang. The house actually vibrated.
And on the corner of Dundas and Mavis, there was a car dealership, and that car dealership suffered broken plate glass windows all through it.
Car 33 had an older model journal box, which required lubrication by oil to avoid overheating. As the train had reached Mississauga, the hot box failed. When the dangling undercarriage of the damaged car left the rail tracks, 23 other cars followed it, 19 of which carried dangerous commodities. In the midst of the burning wreckage was a leaking chlorine car. This, coupled with the magnitude of the accident and the changing wind patterns, resulted in a series of expanding evacuations, which by Sunday evening had encompassed much of the city of Mississauga, along with parts of the neighboring towns of Oakville and Etobicoke. The emergency response saw an evacuation of more than 226,000 residents. I'll tell you now, I think it's a gas, $250,000 left. In the town we lived, we had a gas, the Mississauga mishap.
They weren't even given time to get dressed. They got out of their beds and said, "Out you go." They left their animals, they left their prescriptions. I mean, they were told to leave right away. It was very serious.
Got in the car and we drove to my grandparents, thinking that we'd be back the same day.
I turned around and looked at my house when I realized it all could blow up.
The first policeman on the scene, having seen the initial explosion, arrived at about 11:58 p.m., while local firefighters, having been alerted by the high visibility of the explosion, arrived on the scene by 12:04 a.m. Emergency personnel initiated the Peel Regional Police Disaster Plan, which coordinated the immediate institutional emergency response.
We had, I guess it was a total of, eventually, 1,800 officers.
Dubbed the think tank, the planning group was led by Solicitor General Roy McMurtry and included Police Chief Douglas Burrows, Fire Chief Gordon Bentley, and Mayor HAZEL McCallion, amongst many others. Evacuation centers were quickly established and would come to shelter more than 45,000 people. Hospitals and long-term care facilities were also evacuated.
We got 135 ambulances from as far as Kingston and Chatham and Niagara.
We were on the scene for 250 hours and 33 minutes.
The fire had burned for more than 50 hours, and the final evacuation order for those in the immediate vicinity of the derailment was not lifted until Friday, November 16th.
Coming back home was, what a wonderful thing to have a home.
The derailment tested our young city and our citizens as they had never been tested before. The ramifications and investigations led to industry changes in the transportation of hazardous materials. A moment in time that connected all Mississaugans through common experience, a veritable test by fire. Mississauga,
Can you remember that name? As someone in New York, they'll then guarantee